We know prosthodontics is related to rehabilitation of missing teeth. But that one factor that is directly associated with loss of teeth is bone resorption. Hello everyone, today we shall be learning about ridge resorption, which is one of the most frequently asked question. At the same time, it's very important to understand in order to give a good dental treatment. Now, it might be a partially edentulous case or a completely edentulous case, but understanding the pattern of resorption is very important to determine the prognosis. Let's begin with the definition of ridge resorption. Ridge resorption is used for diminishing quantity and quality of residual ridge after teeth are extracted. So it is the loss of tooth that is going to begin the process. There are these four terms that you can remember, which is chronic, progressive, irreversible, and multifactorial. Also, it is site specific. When I say site specific, I want you to understand that the pattern of resorption is going to be different for maxilla and for mandible. Now, for maxilla, it is always going to be centripetal. When we say centripetal, it means towards the center. Okay? And for mandible, it's going to be away, centrifugal. How would you remember this? So just remember that because maxilla has a palate, we can have a center and everything is being diverted towards it. So it is centripetal in maxilla, while for mandible, it's going to be centrifugal, away. It's going to expand the V shape. So let's talk about pathology. Pathology can be broadly divided into gross and microscopic features. For gross, we have this very classic classification, which is Atwood's classification. What happens in Atwood's classification? Let's see. So it divides the entire residual ridge resorption into 6 types. First is not under any classification because it is at pre-extraction. Now, once the extraction has happened, there are going to be various changes that will be seen. So, order 2 means post-extraction. You can see the socket. I hope you are able to appreciate the socket that is present here. Now, once it has been extracted, the ridge resorption is going to be at its highest. So, order 3 is well round. This pattern here will just become like this and it's going to appear high, well rounded. In order 4, now there is going to be resorption at the cortical plates. So this high rounded is going to be converted into knife edge. Now this knife edge will start depleting and it will lead to low well rounded. Once after this, it is the last, that is the maximum ridge resorption, which would be seen under order 6, which is depressed. I hope Atwood's classification was easy for you. So now if you have to predict the ridge resorption, there is this one method, which is known as Wickel and Scoop method. How exactly can you use this Wickel and Scoop method? So, you're going to mark the border, the inferior border of mandible, and locate the mental foramen. This distance will be termed as x. Multiplied by 3, which will be the initial height, and 3x minus x will give you the loss of bone that has occurred over the period of time. Now, is it possible to do it under patient's mouth? No, not really. This will be done when you use OPG. So this is basically a radiographic evaluation method. So what you do? You identify the mental foramen, you draw this x from the inferior border. So now you multiply this x by 3, which will give you the entire height that was initial. 3x minus x will give you the bone that has been resorbed. And this is how you determine the or predict the residual ridge resorption. Now what happens at the microscopic level? So to understand, first thing is that osteoclastic activity, the cells that are involved in resorption will increase. So osteoclastic activity will be seen. At the same time, there is going to be increase in variation of density, incompletely closed osteons and endothelial porosity. This means that the bone will start becoming weaker in nature. And at periosteal level, that is at the mucosal level, what is going to happen? There is going to be varying degree of keratinization, which will also show edema, acanthosis and inflammation. So all of these inflammatory cells are in turn going to increase residual ridge resorption. So now we move on to the etiology of residual ridge resorption. I want you to remember ATM. Okay? What do? You deposit cash, you withdraw cash. What is cash here for us? The bone. So what is going to happen? A is going to stand for anatomic factor, T is time, M is metabolic factor, and also the mechanical factor. Let's discuss about the anatomic factor. So anatomic factor will depend on the quantity and the quality of bone that is present, at the same time how dense the bone is. Now the first year after extraction will show highest amount of resorption. So it is around 2 to 3 mm in maxilla, while it is 4 to 5 mm in mandible. And later on, mandible is almost going to show around 4 times that of maxilla. So rate of resorption of mandible is greater than that of maxilla. Moving on to the time. So as we know that it's going to be quickest in the early first year, and then as the time is going to progress, it's going to become more slow and stable. So this is how time is also related. Then the mechanical factor. So now what happens? There are various factors that will play a role with resorption of bone. First would be the amount of bone that is present. Greater the amount of bone, lesser is going to be the resorption, right? Frequency, duration, direction of force. So mechanical is always related to forces. Then the area over which the force is being distributed. The parafunctional habit if present. So bruxers, because they have like parafunctional habit that would be present, will show more amount of residual ridge resorption. Now damping effect. These are influenced by healthy mucosa, presence of saliva, presence of periodontal ligament, presence of teeth. If at all damping factors are present, it means that the residual ridge resorption is going to be reduced. Why? Because either they would absorb all the stresses or they are going to distribute it evenly to the entire basal seat. Hence, it is inversely related to the damping effect. Now, when we talk about the metabolic effect, metabolic, anything that is related to increase in osteoclastic activity. So that can be any metabolic disease, osteoporosis that is present, or there can be local resorption factors like endotoxins, OAF, osteoclast activating factors, presence of prostaglandins, human gingival bone resorption stimulating factors. So all of these will in turn lead to increase in osteoclastic cells, which would lead to residual ridge resorption. And this, as we talked, right, it is a multifactorial. It's not just one thing that is going to affect the ridge resorption, but there are multiple factors that will take role in this. Talking about the epidemiology. Now it is very important to understand that irrespective of the culture, caste, gender, whether the patient is healthy, unhealthy, residual ridge resorption will occur in every individual. The rate can be different, but it will occur irrespective of what happens. It can never be stopped. So hence it is known as chronic, progressive and irreversible. Now I hope you understand the 4 things that we discussed earlier. So as we talked, gender is not going to affect, neither is the age, nor is the health condition. If the patient is wearing the denture, not wearing the denture will also not affect. At the same time, the reason of loss. Now it can be due to caries, it can be due to road traffic accident, it can be due to trauma, it can also be due to periodontal factors. N number of factors or any one factor involved will not affect the ridge resorption. Now we know why residual ridge resorption occurs. We cannot stop it, but there will always be prevention that can be done. So to prevent, what can be done? First thing is ideal impression material and technique. It's very important. Impression techniques can be classified as mucocompressive, mucostatic and selective pressure. Now it's very important to understand that mucocompressive technique will increase residual ridge resorption because it is in turn going to increase the pressure that is acting onto the ridges. So it's very important that you either use mucostatic, that does not apply so much of pressure, or a selective pressure. What is selective pressure going to do? It is selectively going to put pressure onto the areas that can withstand the force. So that should be used. Then other thing is use as much as basal seat that is available. We'll be talking about the snowshoe effect in the support factor of impression making objectives. Then talking about the occlusion. Why is it important that your centric occlusion coincides with your centric relation? Because we know that centric relation is stable and repeatable position. Hence, this will make sure that because every time the patient will close at one desirable relation, it will not glide. Because gliding or sliding of teeth will mean that there is going to be tipping of denture. And tipping of denture is going to create undue forces onto the basal seat, which will increase the residual ridge resorption. Hence, giving centric occlusion in centric relation is the ideal thing. Now, what is the other thing? Anatomic and porcelain teeth. Now we know that because anatomic and porcelain teeth both contribute to higher masticatory forces. The masticatory forces might increase, but at the same time, it will directly mean that there is more pressure that is acting onto the bone. Hence, we should opt for semi-anatomic and acrylic teeth, such that the overall masticatory force that is acting is reduced. Talking about the partially edentulous cases now, what is going to happen? There is going to be distribution of force between the residual ridge and the teeth. And we know that preserving teeth always is going to be advantageous to us because it is going to have one factor. Can you guess? Yes, it is the periodontal ligament. Presence of periodontal ligament will mean that it is going to have stimulation. And this functional stimulation is going to make sure that the rate of resorption is lesser. So when compared, if you see complete denture in comparison with tooth-supported overdenture, tooth-supported overdenture where the teeth are present will show lesser ridge resorption. Hence, one thing is tooth-supported overdenture. Talking about vestibuloplasty and ridge augmentation. Now both of these are related to increasing the area, the height that we will achieve for making the denture. Vestibuloplasty means that you are deepening the vestibule, and the ridge augmentation means that you are increasing the length of the basal seat. Both of this will give us more area. More the area, better would be the distribution of the force. And the last thing is to put dental implants. Yes, because again this is going to be functionally stimulating the bone, which will mean that the bone resorption pattern will change and it will decrease the residual ridge resorption. So this is how ridge resorption can be prevented by various methods. So we already talked the pathogenesis. It is chronic, irreversible, progressive, multifactorial, and obviously cumulative in nature. The pathophysiology is that whenever, now it's like, seesaw, okay? We have to maintain the balance between osteoblastic and osteoclastic. This is deposition, okay? And this is reduction. So maybe negative, negative, and positive, positive. Now, whenever osteoclastic activity will increase, what is going to happen? There is going to be imbalance. There's going to be more of resorption than deposition. So there has to be a proper maintenance of this factors which will stimulate osteoblast and osteoclast to maintain the regulation of bone. So whenever there will be failure to keep pace with the osteoclastic activity, the osteoclastic increased activity will lead to resorption. I hope it was easy to understand. You'll be able to attempt it. You'll be able to give valid logical reasoning to everything. And let's just quickly solve the flashcard. So what are the 4 characteristic features of residual ridge resorption? It's easy. So it's chronic, irreversible, progressive, cumulative, or multifactorial. So these are the 4 characteristic features. Now, residual ridge resorption is best described as acute and reversible? No, it's chronic and irreversible. Inflammatory bone loss due to denture? There is not inflammatory but metabolic thing. So this is also incorrect. Self-limiting physiological process? No, it's not self-limiting because it will not stop at any point. It's continuous, chronic and progressive in nature. So this is also not correct. Chronic, progressive and irreversible. This is the perfect definition. If you enjoyed solving this, I want you to go on to the app, refer to the mind map, look at the notes, solve various MCQs and flashcards, and I'll see you in the next video.